What's up, everyone? In today's video for Alpha Universe, I'm going to show you the power, the immense power of the Alpha 9 III when you pair it up with a flash. We're going to be doing some outdoor flash photography. We're going to overpower the sun, and it's going to be great. Check it out. All right, everyone, let's get right into it. So we're doing off-camera flash on location, and if you've never done flash photography before, there's a few things that you need to know. The first thing is that you have two different exposures when you're doing flash photography outdoors. You have the exposure that is basically the ambient exposure, which is controlled by your camera settings. Then you have the exposure that's being created by your flash, which happens to be lighting our lovely model, Caitlin. And so we dial these two things independently. But what's really awesome with the Alpha 9 III, because of the global shutter technology, we could actually have crazy high shutter speeds and we could still sync our flash with it. No high speed sync, no ND filters, none of that crazy stuff to get amazing exposures. So let's figure out and see, without having this flash on, let's see what our camera settings need to be to give us the right exposure in this environment. Okay, so just so you know, I've got the Alpha 9 III with the 50mm f1.2 G Master lens. I'm actually going to be doing something that I don't typically do in this type of environment, which is I'm shooting wide open at that f1.2 aperture. Now, usually when you're shooting wide open with this type of lens and you're trying to incorporate flash, you run into some problems. You usually cannot go above whatever the native sync speed is on a camera. So pretty much any other camera that's not the Alpha 9 III, you're going to be limited to anywhere from 1/160th of a second to 1/250th of a second. Maybe something like an Alpha 1, you could go to 1/400th. Anything outside of that, you would have to use high-speed sync. And there's some downsides. With high-speed sync, you would actually not get the full power output of whatever flash you're using. In this case, with the Alpha 9 III, we're getting full power with this f1.2 aperture. So that's what we're gonna shoot at. Base ISO is 250, so we're gonna leave it at that. Our shutter speed is gonna be anywhere from 1/12,800 up to 1/16,000th of a second. It's really gonna depend on what this ambient light is doing. What we're trying to do with our settings is expose for this background so that we're not getting completely blown out details outdoors. But we're also going to make sure that our flash lights our subject in this environment. So that's where the flash comes in. Without that flash, I'll show you what this shot looks like. Basically, without the flash, you can't really see Caitlin if we're exposing for the background. But again, this is what's great. Even at those high shutter speeds, we'll be able to add this flash. Everything will sync up perfectly. So let's start shooting and let me show you what you're gonna deal with when you're doing that. So as we're looking at these settings here, we're at f1.2, 1/16,000th of a second, ISO 250. You can see that we've underexposed our ambient light. We have the Alpha 9 III here with live view turned on. So basically, if I take a photo right now, that's what our exposure looks like given those settings, right? The challenge is, obviously Caitlin is dark, we can't see her. But again, because we're using off-camera flash, we're not too worried about it because we're gonna light Caitlin with our flash. Now there is something you wanna keep in mind here, which is that if you're shooting at f1.2, anything between f1.2 and f1.6, your maximum shutter speed is gonna be 1/16,000th of a second. You cannot get up to the 1/80,000th of a second, which is the max that this camera can provide, until you get to f1.8. So we're gonna take these shots wide open at f1.2 because obviously that's gonna give us that really nice buttery background. We're able to control the exposure even at 1/16,000th of a second. But then we're gonna go outside, full sunlight, harsh light. It's hot. I don't know if you can see the sweat, but it's hot out here. We're gonna get out in the sun and we're actually gonna shoot at f1.8 so that we can get those higher shutter speeds and then see what that exposure looks like. But before that, let's shoot in this environment with these settings. Let's see what we get. All right, so now we're really gonna test out this camera in this very hot, humid environment in Orlando, Florida. The days here, the afternoons are super bright. And what's really great with the Alpha 9 III is that you could use your shutter speed to get your ambient light under control you could actually underexpose your ambient light, which is crazy. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a variety of different shots, anywhere from 1/16,000th of a second up to 1/80,000th of a second. And what that's gonna do is, remember, your camera settings are adjusting the ambient light exposure. So if we're at 1/80,000th, we're effectively underexposing our ambient light, so it's gonna appear a little bit darker. When we light Caitlin with our flash, she's gonna appear brighter. So it's gonna look more flashy, for a lack of better words. But as we lower that shutter speed from 180,000 to 164,000, all the way down to 116,000, the power on the flash isn't gonna change because that's just lighting Caitlin all throughout the shots. But that shutter speed, as we lower the shutter speed, we're gonna introduce more of that ambient light. You're gonna see more saturation of colors in the background. You're gonna see brighter skies, all of that good stuff. So I wanna show you the wide range of different options that you can get. And then we'll take a look at the photos, and then I have a bonus tip for you. So stick around after you see these photos so you can get that additional bonus tip. So there's a couple of things that you want to keep in mind here. The first thing is that everything that we've done today with this flash, we're not using high-speed sync. We're utilizing the full power from this flash. For these outdoor shots, I was somewhere between like 8.4 to 8.6 power, which if you were using high-speed sync, you wouldn't get the full power. You'd probably be at like a 4 or maybe a 5 power on this flash. Any flash that you use, when you use high-speed sync, you don't get the full output. But because of the global shutter, with the Alpha 9 III, we got full power from the flash, and we were able to actually underexpose, if we wanted to, creatively, underexpose our ambient light and then light our subject. Now there is one thing, and I told you I'd give you a bonus tip, this is a big one. Make sure that with your Alpha 9 III, you go into your custom settings and set one of your custom buttons to turn on and off your live view display. The reason why you want to do that is if you're shooting with the settings, right? We talked about our camera settings controlling our ambient light. You're not going to see your subject with those settings. So what you want to do is you dial in your ambient light with live view display on. You won't see your subject, right? But you know your ambient looks good. Push your button for the live view display setting to turn that off. And then now you actually could see the entire scene. You already know what your exposure looked like because you saw it before you turned it off. And then you just start taking your shots. Make sure you do that. I'm pretty sure I have a video here on Alpha Universe showing exactly how to do that. So we'll throw that up here on the screen. Got a lot of great lighting tutorials here on the channel as well. So make sure you subscribe, like this video, because we got new videos coming out all the time. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.